Last weekend, I got offered a pretty ridiculous trade for this crashed 911 Turbo. It was two cars and the deal was extremely in my favor, but I just straight passed it up. Said I was good because I've been so excited to build this car and I knew it was gonna be a really fun project. Fast forward, Tuesday, 3 p.m., just got in from our flight from Atlanta, sat down, scrolling through my DMs. This guy that offered the trade, I knew from Skyline stuff, and he had already offered to include quite a few parts with the trade, but just for the hell of it, I remembered he had an R34 6-speed, and 30 minutes after he said he'd throw it in with the trade, I booked the soonest flight out to California, and I was driving my way back to the airport. And this is what happened. All right, guys, welcome to today's video. I am driving back to the airport, just landed like 3 hours ago, went home, crackhead deal popped up. I'll fill you in on some details. I'm on the phone with TJ because I'm going out to San Diego, and I'm trying to rope him into coming with me so I don't get abducted. And he's lecturing me on the phone, but more than anything, he gave me the very good words of advice that I should probably pull out my camera and film some of this, because this is if this goes wrong, at least I get a video out of it. So Tej, what do you think about this whole situation, buddy?
Okay, you haven't explained the deal yet, but this is the perfect example of if something sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And Adam's flying to San Diego. He's like, yeah, at the moment I'm just gonna show up to this guy's house and see if he has all stuff. I'm like, Adam, you realize he just baited Adam LZ to fly across the country to come and look at cars that are way more than what the trade is worth, and you're gonna show up by yourself in an Uber with no way to escape. So I'm gonna try to cancel my plans tonight to join Adam, or I might send Kevin with him.
Wait, imagine, bro, this dude baited Adam LZ and TJ Hunt. We both show up. He's like,
on that case, I can't be there, so you can sleep at my house tonight.
Bro, imagine this dude's like wearing a freaking clown costume and shoots us with paintball guns or some.
I mean, it's working. So congratulations to this kid, because he is somehow convincing you to do this. Well, it's a great deal.
But here's the thing. If this is a scam, this has to be like one of the, what do they call them? The long fraud or the long con, when like someone's like tricking you for years.
He played long term on this deal. He had this planned for years, and he's been slowly picking away at Adam in the DMs, and Adam's convinced.
Dude, like we've been talking for, he messaged me when he got this car that he's trading me. So like I feel like the odds of me being scammed are sub 15%.
I just want you to be careful. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate it.
So hopefully I can move my stuff around tonight, and I'll go with you, and we can die together. Or I'll send Kevin, and then you guys could die together. You just don't need to tell them what the deal is. Yeah. I'll let you handle that, but I'll see you when you land here in like 7 hours.
Okay, see you then. Thanks for the support.
Okay. All right, bye.
Bye. All right, so here's your explanation. Danny hit me up, actually quite a long time ago, about buying one of his cars when I was out in California. It's just something that was a little frivolous for me. I didn't need it, so I didn't end up buying it. But for whatever reason, when he saw the turbo build pop up, he was all about it, hit me up offering to trade 2 cars for the Porsche. My gut reaction was to say no, even though in my opinion both of these cars together are worth what the turbo would be repaired. I was just really excited for the project. It's not a common opportunity for me to have as little money as I plan to have into a car of that caliber and get to just enjoy and beat the crap out of it. So I was pretty transparent with you guys about having about 25 grand into the Porsche. Now I've already bought about 10 grand worth of parts that I told him I'd give him with it. So let's say I'm in at 35 grand. I think the retail value of the turbo repaired to someone that knows that it was crashed, even though the title's clean, probably 85 grand or so. And I think these 2 cars very conservatively could sell for the price of the turbo. I said no, but the deal breaker was that he had a bunch of parts, wheels, that I'm gonna show you guys. And when he was willing to include them, that's kind of what it did it for me, because I know I'll sell these 2 cars, most likely, get my money back without having to build a Porsche, and then get to keep all these parts that I wouldn't end up buying, because in today's market, most of them just go for outrageous prices. It's a pretty crackhead deal. I'm assuming from his side he just doesn't have to deal with selling a bajillion parts or getting rid of 2 cars that may have some weird quirks. I don't know, we'll find out. I'm just going over there to make sure everything's legit, make sure the cars turn on and drive, and hope I don't get scammed. Fanciest looking whip I've gotten picked up at the airport in a long time, dude.
That's good, dude.
It's looking good. Last time I was on the stockies when I saw it. All right, so what do you think about this whole situation?
All right, off camera.
No, this is on camera.
No, but off camera.
Off camera, on camera.
Since I picked you up from the airport, the whole time I'm like, Adam, run me through this deal because it sounds like the best deal you could ever get. It's like too good to be true kind of deal. 100%. Like, Adam, are you sure? You flew across the country. I'm driving you to this place, and all on this guy's. I don't even know, man. Like, the deal just seems way too good to be true. And I guess that's why we're driving there to figure it out.
It sounds kind of crazy, but I think just because of the fact that we messaged in the past, it makes a random Instagram DM seem a little bit more legit. But like, I was thinking about it, as long as I video it, if things go terrible, at least I'll get a video out of it. And it only cost me like $1,000 in flights and like kind of like a half a day of time. I did realize though, I've been up since 5 a.m. Eastern time, and it's technically it'd be like 11 p.m. Eastern time, so it's I'm like purely surviving on adrenaline and excitement for this crackhead deal energy right now.
I decided to go because I didn't want Adam to go by himself.
I was gonna Uber there, and they're like, "You can't do that."
Like, no, don't do that. Like, I'll pick you up. But this is like a car YouTuber episode, like Catfish.
You pretty much imagine.
We get there and it's just like nothing as it seems. Yeah. But I'll be very impressed if we come back and everything is.
We'll see.
I'll be very happy for you.
I don't know if I'm gonna film there, or maybe I'll do like some of the like little creeper filming where I like hold the camera and they can't really see it. I hate when I'm checking out cars and stuff and also filming because A, that I can't pay attention to the situation, what's actually going on, and B, I look like a vlogger and I hate that.
But you are a vlogger.
So we might have just spotted the rarest BMW in all of existence. A 328D that appears to be BMW individual Java green.
It does look painted.
Yeah, it doesn't look like wrap. Whoa, dude, you see the dents? Oh my god. I was gonna say maybe. Is it? Nah, it might be wrap. Hit him over that Drift HQ sponsorship. What you're about to see is location number 1, where the first car from the trade was kept. I didn't vlog while I was there, so I'm gonna do my best to voice over it and go over some of the things I noticed with the car while I was checking it out. First impressions of the car. Monster truck height. I guess his driveway is difficult to get into. Paint looked really good. Body kit fitment's decent. A few different manufacturers' body parts, but the biggest thing was just the interior was missing some stuff. He'd been trying to sort out a window that wasn't working, so some stuff was taken apart, some clips are broken. Brand new seats though, in really good condition. Engine bay looked decent. You could tell the car was repainted because the firewall is a different color. I had a yellow McDonald's cover. I don't know how I feel about that, but no leaks. Everything looked pretty solid. Wing looks like maybe the clear coat faded. It could use new clear. Maybe the gel coat's a little messed up. Look at monster truck height. So we started up just to listen to how the engine sounded. Sounded pretty healthy. You know, I'm not a huge NSX nerd, but with the deal that we were looking at, as long as the engine started up and ran, I felt pretty good about it. It looks really cool with the wide body, not gonna lie. So I got in the car just to take a little drive down the road. Headlights didn't really work that great. It was kind of hard to see. But seatbelt also didn't work. That was another thing I noticed. But the biggest thing that you'll notice is me struggling to get the car into gear. It appears as if there's some sort of clutch issue. I've heard of throwout bearings common. It could potentially be a slave or master, but the car would not get into gear if I tried to do it while the car was on. I could start the car in gear and then I could drive it, and the clutch worked fine, but for whatever reason, the clutch wouldn't allow you to engage gear if you're already in neutral with the car running. On the drive, the biggest thing I noticed is just a lot of suspension clunks. Just seems like the car needs some TLC. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't a turnkey car ready for someone to go rip right off the bat. All right, so this is one of the rare occasions where I feel a little bit better about the deal after seeing the more expensive of the car. The NSX, it's cool, it's got some cool parts to it, but it definitely needs some love. The interior's ripped apart, it's got some little wiring gremlins, it's missing a few things, and suspension's knocking and clunking. I can see the not wanting to have a project, because like the first time I drove that car, it's like, all right, this thing probably needs a week or two of love.
It's got a lot of love. It needs a lot of love.
Is that your impression too when you saw it? The clutch didn't work, and
I saw the kit, and like it's a 10-footer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I could see his explanation now, because before I was like, Adam, I don't really understand. Like at first I was like, Adam, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you trade 2 cars and a bunch of parts for just one crashed Porsche? And I guess he was explaining to us, you know.
Well, you'd rather put money into something he's gonna keep, which I get. See, we got NSX Junior checking out the NSX up there.
Pop-Up Brothers.
Better watch out, dude. He'll give you a run for your money. Those things are mid-engine, right?
Yeah, they are actually.
Mid-engine gang up here, dude, running in the 90s. Now you're about to see us roll up to the second location where the second car and all of the parts are kept. Again, I didn't do any vlogging there, so I'm gonna do my best to explain some of the stuff I saw and some of the details on the car. All right, so next up we have me checking out his R32 GTR. This thing actually looked really clean, but it seems like it had been sitting outside for a while, so there was a lot of like mildew and stuff built up on the paint. Had some pretty cool wheels, lots of like Nismo arms and little Nismo bits, but you can see how dirty the car is. At first I thought it was like oxidation in the clear coat, but it wiped off with my finger, so that made me feel pretty good about it. Now, this car allegedly has 30,000 kilometers on it, which at first I figured was wrong. Judging by the condition of the door panels, the dash not having bubbles, and some of the like plastic still having the writing looking very clean, it's very well possible this car does have that low of kilometers on it. Started up the engine just to kind of hear how everything sounded. First impression, it was very clean. The head was a little bit noisy, but I later found out that it had some headwork, bigger cams, so that kind of explains that. Old logo, Nismo brace. Didn't really spot any leaks right off the rip. But overall, it was in pretty good condition. I didn't really see any rust or anything to be alarmed about. Yeah, I decided to take it for a drive and kind of see how it felt on the road. You'll notice in this clip that the car actually has R34 V-Spec 2 seats, which are worth dough. That was another big thing in regards to me being interested in this car. A little surface rust, but very minimal compared to, yo, look at those old logo floor mats. You know how many people have stepped on these mats? That's like people that buy expensive shoes. What are you supposed to do? Not walk in them? Right?
You're right. Oh yeah, no bubbles on the dash, which is really nice.
First impressions with the car, the clutch is definitely really aggressive. Has a little bit of whine, maybe throw-up bearing or something on this car, or input shaft is making some noise, but the car actually surprisingly ripped pretty hard, and I felt good about this one. I think, honestly, this R32 would be a lot of fun to drive. All right, now this is the good stuff. This is what I was really interested in. It may look like a couple boxes to you, but some of these parts, especially the OEM new stuff, is really hard to find and really valuable. So that Neo cover I wanted for my dad's car. You'll see LMGT2s right there that were included in the deal. The TEs and the floor came with it. Those came on the NSX. The new GTR steering wheel, new GTR airbag. The box I'm opening right now is actually new R34 GTR kick plates, like the things that go above the side skirts inside. And I actually really needed a set of those for my R34, so I was pumped about those. Another box of a bunch of random stuff. Badges, shifter, door seals, interior trim pieces. Shout out Dan at Terra Firma, looks like that's where a lot of this stuff came from. This box right here in the front of the screen actually is brand new quarter glass for an R34 GTR. Again, just stuff that maybe you can still get, but very valuable. And then this right here, I remember I got one of these for my car. I never put it in, but the Nismo cluster for the R34 GTR fetches some big bucks. That R32 GTR seat on the wall is included, those Advans against the wall. You might notice too, in the back right, you can barely see it. There's a V-Spec diffuser from an R34 that was included. These wing stands are just like OEM stuff. And then there was also like a full console in addition to the airbag. There's like parts for an R35, brake caliper conversion on GTRs. This box had some window trim in it. I had like new B-pillar trim as well. There's just so much good stuff. You know, even just like OEM R34 GTR side skirts are so hard to find. The V-Spec diffuser in the top right is worth quite a bit of money. That's off an R34 and that was included. And you know, like I said, it looks like some boxes to you guys, but like stuff like new R34 GTR taillights. Then on this shelf is pretty much everything to fully all-wheel drive convert an R34 GTT. Every single module, even all the chassis wiring, including the inner fenders, and then there's also a brand new V-Spec diffuser up top. These right here, Holy Grail wheels, LMGT1s, they're 10 rears and 9 fronts, so I'd need to rebarrel them if I wanted to run them on a GTR and have 10s all around. But something like this, like I would never buy a set of LMGT1s because they've gotten so expensive, but the fact that they're included in this deal makes me really excited to refinish them and hopefully put them on one of my Skylines. These are the R35 calipers that were included with all of the brackets and rotors and adapters to run them on like a R33 or an R34. He also tossed in a head unit because the NSX was missing one. So much little stuff. It's like hunting for for gold. Even these like little keys, these little Nismo designer keys. I'm just like a kid in a candy shop right now. You can't tell from my face. I didn't really sleep much. But wait, there's more. A set of new in-box LMGT4s, GTR spec. Again, you think that I would just want to sell this stuff, but I'm just thinking in my head right now, what car can I put this on? So much stuff that I probably wouldn't buy, but now because I have it, I'm get to use it on something. Kind of thinking in my head, you know, just maybe sell the cars, keep all the parts and use them towards future builds, just because a lot of the stuff is so hard to find. And just like that, the deal was done, and I started to load up as many parts as I could into the cars because I actually had a friend who was willing to transport them the next day. So I carefully put as much stuff as I could in the 32 and in the NSX, and then planning to get the rest when he comes to pick up the turbo from Florida. If you guys are a YouTube member, you've already heard me kind of talk through this whole process. I was very on the fence, and you guys definitely kind of helped steer me in the right direction. I did not want to let go of this thing. I was really, really excited, but you know, when a deal is this good, it's hard to pass up, and I'm stoked that the car is going into good hands, and I'm excited to see what I can do with those parts and those other cars. I had already ordered so much for this car. The turbos were off at Pure, getting built for Pure 850s. I got all the coolers that I needed from the front from CSF, including upgraded intercoolers for the rear, and I'd already done all the legwork of sourcing the front tub from Lee C Parts. I located all the random brackets, arms, I found a front bumper, fender. In my mind, I'd already built this car, so it was really hard to abandon, and I hope you guys can understand. Another thing that weighed in my ability to be able to let go of this car is knowing that I could put the time that would be put on this car into other projects that are already kind of pending. So not only would the deal free up some cash with the stuff I could sell, but it would also free up time as well. As for what's gonna happen with all the parts and the cars that are now on their way here, I know I'm gonna get a lot of DMs from some of you guys that wanna buy some of that stuff. All I could say is be patient. I'm gonna end up probably keeping 90% of the parts. I might sell some stuff, but when I do, I'll post it up formally for sale. In regards to the cars, I do plan on probably selling both the GTR and the NSX. There is potential of the NSX possibly being the next giveaway car, but I need to work some stuff out because I have another option and I want to weigh both options and talk it through with you guys, see what you guys think, so I can make sure whatever car I end up putting time, resources, money, and attention into is the one that you guys would want for a future giveaway. More than anything, I need to thank Danny because this was the deal of a lifetime. I know he explained that he's kind of over the 90s stuff and wants to move on to something he wants to build and keep, but still, like, words cannot express how grateful I am for him to give me the opportunity to take over his collection that he's probably taken years to assemble of very rare parts and two very cool cars. This video is a little bit different than what I would normally do, and I was planning to kind of just wait and talk about this stuff once it got here, but since I'd already been kind of talking about and alluding to it with the members, I wanted to throw something together. And quite frankly, I lost a day when I was supposed to be filming here in the shop because I went and did that. But overall, I'm stoked. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys soon.